to First Time DM. I am he. Doing Tyranny of Dragons as a campaign, and we're actually still in Chapter 4, which is called On the Road, where the players travel from basically the beginning area up to Baldur's Gate, and from there up to a Waterdeep. Spoilers for anybody who might be playing Tyranny of Dragons as a player. This is not the stream for you, so spoilers, complete fair warning. So my players are continually sort of doing that, and the eventual destination, there's actually a few eventual destinations, but the place that they end up wagon caravanning up north to that ends in a physical place is the Mirror of Dead Men. And from there are certain magical things that happen that continue the adventures on, but there's a good lot of going-ons in this particular situation in the Mirror of Dead Men, and as you probably know, that's a swamp. A corrupted swamp, evil swamp. What didn't used to be a swamp. There was magical destruction and creation of this swamp. A lot of death. Anyway, that's where our players are going to be finding themselves. And so I have a whole litany of terrain pieces. This is just one of them. And this is actually the only one of this nature. And I just want to hold it on its side like that so you can sort of see. So it's a terrain piece. Sorry, I have to look away when I'm doing. Well, I just want to see how it looks on camera there. Okay. Anyway, hopefully I won't have to do that anymore. This is one of the. Actually, I have a couple more really at hand. There's a lot of different. I'm a scatter terrain guy. I don't like to build big, forts and large pieces. I like scattered terrain, especially scattered terrain that you could mix and match. Forest and hills, and swamp is a little, and this wouldn't necessarily be a mix and matcher. But anyway, this is one of my, I would say, medium pieces. Okay. I think it's about 6.5 inches across. Actually, more than probably 8. Actually, might be 8. Do I have my? I did have my measuring tape. Oh, I actually have this ruler here. Let's see. Looking for a measuring tape, and I got a ruler right here. Let's see. 3. What the hell? I've never used this before. These numbers are strange. Where are the inches? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Inches. So this is a little. Yeah, about 6.5 inches. I was exactly right. 6. Huh? I nailed it. About 6. It's 6.5 inches in diameter. And this is meant to be in one of the deeper parts of the swamp. You can see these are lily pads here that the players would, at this point, have learned that they could potentially stand on, right? Or their characters can. And, there'll be rolls involved. Maybe they'll go under, maybe they won't. Like there's a particularly small one here that you never know. And so, yeah, it's these destroyed, dead, corroded evil trees covered in moss. I don't know if you can see here, but there's let's see. Yeah, that's hard to see. There's a snake right here. This guy right here. Well, see, if you can see, he's all the way around here. His tail comes up there. So built into, again, I like to make my terrain pieces something that enhance gameplay and not just something that's fancy on the table. So I'm going to have like a treasure chest or something, maybe suspended here in some way, but there'll be a treasure chest here. So we'll be very inviting for the players, whatever they happen to be doing at the time. But when they encounter this place, and again, it's deeper waters, will they risk it and like, oh, there's a treasure chest over there. Is it going to be dangerous? Will they make the decision to go after the treasure chest? Of course, it's D&D, and of course they will at some point. Anyway, so there's going to be some sort of treasure box either in a tree or suspended here in some way, maybe like spider webs or something. But yeah, so we have a snake here. Also here, this one. See, now you can see it there, right? That's under the water. That's perfectly flat. That's a poisonous frog. Poisonous frog there. So there's that, and there might be some things that are unseen. And again, if the players see it in the terrain piece before they venture forth, then they will have an advantage when they roll. Right? If they've noticed it in the real world, I will give them advantage when and if they have to roll for something here. So what am I doing now? This one is really almost done. I've just put in. I've decided this is a resin water, a resin pour there with a little pigment in it. I'm actually going to be selling this in my Etsy shop. I think I'm going to put a little less pigment in it as I go forward. And again, these lily pads are actual lily pads. They grow where I live. I live in Florida. And I dry them and then protect them. And then add them too, because I figured like I could create out of paper or some sort of plastic or whatever, but I have them. They're really, most of them are perfect size, for a 1-inch 28 scale character. So whatever. And so anyway, so in the trees are part wood. I like to get natural wood for it, but it's also augmented as far as with other, processes that I may apply. So so the water's been done. I did the texture the other day, put in one more lily pad, and I put this moss on here, right? And you can see that, and this I do have to look, I want the moss here to go from, growing on the tree, as you can see here. And again, that's not the easiest thing to do, down off into the actual water as sort of like a scum. I just want to do one more little bit of color, see if it does anything. So yeah, this is actual foam texture, foam flocking, basically. All right, and I just want to add a little bit of this green military shade here. Let's see what it does. I don't think I need it. I think I have enough color there. I think it's dank. So what I'm doing now then, and what I'm doing with you tonight, I actually did a lot today. I should have held it off until I was able to be with you, but okay, this is a gloss varnish by Vallejo. In the painting process here, you have to sort of glue it on, and some of the glue, I had used a Mod Podge that was matte, so there's a bit of a matte here, and I had sort of put a PVA glue over it, but I just wanted to give it some more gloss. So here we go. So really, the moss and algae and all that type of stuff is pretty much done. I glued it on there today, and then I painted it, made it look more natural than the store-bought color. But now I want to sort of continue with the gloss that is the same gloss varnish that is covering all of the water here. So I just want to make sure it looks like there's a melding of the moss on top of the water, while maintaining a sort of gross water, right? Like, I don't want this water to look appetizing. I want the water. I'm sorry. I think I want to give you. Is that too much light for you? It really sort of. I think looking straight down on it, it's really probably the hardest to really see what I'm doing. But unfortunately, that's the way it has to be. Or unless I suspend myself from the ceiling, which might be an interesting way to do it. Anyway, so this is the same gloss that covers the rest of the surface. And I'm just making sure that surface water is meeting this moss. And not necessarily covering all of the moss that's on the water, but at least some of it, where I want to make it a little bit questionable what's underwater and what is on top of the water. Right? To give it, this is sort of, it's still, and it's growing, right? You really want to have a sense of the water here, right? I mean, this whole thing. The other one, this is really the only deep water area that I'm creating, right? Because your players probably aren't going to want to swim in this water unless they have a good reason to, right? I mean, if it's part of saving somebody or some sort of a combat thing, or as we were saying before, going after some booty. So I realize that some of what I'm showing you probably can't be seen, but again, I'm pretty much done with this guy. I actually had it here. I wasn't going to add it to my collection because I'm uploading all of my models or terrain pieces, whatever you want to call them, now. And this was part of the original set, but I honestly I wasn't really happy with it. I was like, I don't know if this is something that I would feel comfortable selling, because I just, it wasn't coming together. And
your pie timer is done.
I got Alexa off. I have a pie defrosting. I don't know, because one of those days where I'm like, I'm getting myself a key lime pie. I'm going to defrost the heck out of it. Yeah, but I have to wait, in the refrigerator. Or, I'm patient. I'm a patient person. I try to be a patient person now. Zen. Yeah, I wasn't actually going to include it because I wasn't happy with the final product, because I had sort of done the water sort of, I was trying to make it like crystal clear, smooth as glass type of thing. And in most parts, actually, it was fine, but there was a few places that were, there were some noticeable like irregularities that didn't necessarily look like water, that really needed to be either sanded down or somehow removed. And I know it's possible to do that and then sand and polish the resin carefully, and knowing the types of sandpaper and polish that you need to use, and I have all that. But it was so because of, I was sanding it with all of the trees and the moss coming down, and parts of this are ceramic. The sanding of it to get it to a place where it would be smooth and glass like wasn't wasn't, and you could see that it was sanded. And I could see that, I could probably do it. I could probably get everything to a, perfectly smooth, um, you know, surface. But I felt that I was going to it was going to damage the rest of the piece. And so I'm like, okay, it doesn't need to be perfect. And it looked like it was sanded, and I didn't like that look. And so what I decided to do, and I'm like, anytime I build this, that's sort of an inherent thing. And if I'm not happy with the sanded look, as well as I can get it, and again, it's cost prohibitive to go crazy with it. I'm like, I'm just not willing to sell it. But then I'm like, well, why don't I try to texture the surface instead of having it glass buttery smooth? And I live here in Florida, and literally in swampland, and I know what this type of water looks like. And there's a lot of stuff growing on it, and it's a lot of times it's very, very still until something gets you. So I felt like the textured sort of moss alive growth really worked for the scene and made sense and was looked somewhat realistic. And so I'm like, oh, and I textured it, and I'm like, oh, and then I wanted a little bit more of a blend between the tree, the water, and then the underwater. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a lot of times there's moss, and so growing literally onto the water still has purpose. So this one is a no. Let's see, I have to do it like that. You see, there's a stump, right? A tree stump, and of course there's a face in there, and again, the players will see this and they'll say, well, that guy looks pretty evil. You maybe want to stay away from him. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. There seems to be some sort of alligator or crocodile in there. But, oh, look, there's a barrel. It's a barrel of some type. So, anyway, so this again will say, it's not as deep here, right? It's sort of mushy marshland. There are some, pools of deeper water that are dangerous. And, there's even some vegetation. Anyway, so, but this one has the reeds, right? And that's why I'm showing it to you. I do have reeds. I didn't want to do reeds on this one because I want it sort of to be like a deeper than a reed, a deeper than a reed situation. I don't know if I might put reeds in it next time. I do like my reeds, and they're very sturdy the way I did them. Um, and again, you can see a little bit of moss there and whatever, and this is corrupted tree. And anyway, so, but again, this does what terrain does, right? It sets a mood, it sets a situation. You have a more tangible, visceral connection to where you are in the D&D world, and also presents dangers. I could have, drawn a circle and say, okay, here's a spooky tree. Oh, an alligator got you. I didn't see the alligator. Oh, well, it's a surprise. This one, I can't imagine any player would come here to get this barrel without seeing the alligator. So, but I will make that if you see it again in the real world, that'll help you necessarily in the game world. And so I won't say that yes, you see this alligator, you see it in the world, but I will let you roll at it with advantage or something like that. Anyway, so this is the one with the reeds. So I didn't have the reeds here, which I don't know. Maybe I would put in next time or not, just a few of them here and there. But I sort of wanted it to be this one to be a sort of a deeper, darker place than even that. I want each one, this is a deeper water place, and there's more sinister energy. So really, it's effectively done. I mean, I do have to put on a bottom. I like to do a thin black foam on the bottom, which makes it sit, nicely. It has a sort of a nice feeling when you put it down. It's like an art piece instead of just a piece of wood with some acrylic and more wood on it. But so yeah, this is it. This is the Mirror of Dead Men, right? And this is a grotto of dead trees, and yeah, and I'm gonna, and again, this is the Mirror of Dead Men in the Tyranny of Dragons campaign, and so my players will be able to visit this. Are they going to see the frog? Here, if you don't see the frog, you know, you're not rolling with advantage. That's for sure, right? So I'm pretty sure they're going to see the snake if they approach the treasure, right? I think they'll look at it closely. They might not see the frog. Maybe it'll be friendly. You never know. Anyway, that's my latest piece. It's really going to be the last one. I think the next thing I'm going to work on is my. This is actually a little bit different. This is not terrain. This is a monster. I want to make. I'm not really. I've never really seen a gelatinous cube miniature that I liked. That I was 100% satisfied with. That was evocative of some of the images that Wizards of the Coast has released. Now, this particular one is my first experiment with it, and I learned a lot. But I learned a lot, and this one would not be something that I would sell. But I learned a lot. I think I'm going to make the gelatinous cube blue, not green. I'm going to put a little bit less pigment in it to make it a little bit more translucent. And with this stuff, with the acrylic pours and whatnot, I found that less is more. And so that, and then all my bones. See, this was sort of, it's like an ice cube type tray, and you pour it in, or whatever. And I put bones in it, but they all sort of sank to the bottom, which was, of course, is now the top, right? Because that's where all the cool stuff is. Because that, you can't even, if you did it like that, you can't even see any stuff. So this is your top. And again, it's just, everything is too much on the top. I want it a little bit more translucent. And I put it in the container, the ice cube tray, with Vaseline to see what that would do to the texture of it. And I don't know. I don't love it in this form, but I might continue to do it because I think that I want to literally give the physical side some more texture to it. And I might do that with like a rotary tool or something of that nature. And I'm not sure that this sort of texture helps me along the way, as far as I could build off of that sort of natural look, or whether it's just best for me to keep it as smooth as possible and then do the texturing that I want to do. I think that's what I'm going to do, because there are some aspects of the smooth parts that I think might be cool if I did it, the entire way, because uh, gelatinous cubes are large creatures, so large space in D&D. Well, this is it, right? That is large, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 4 inch square, and these are 5 feet in world, large creature. Now this is really the prototype. So the one I will sell, I think I'm going to make it a full-on cube, so it's going to be much taller than this. I don't know if it's going to be full, up there, full other 1 inch, like a 2 inch thing, but I want to make it higher, because it just seems a little squat. I want to give it some height. And here's a gnome character, right? So so full size, whatever would be full size, like character of barbarian or whatever, would not be fully engulfed in that. So the actual ones will be taller. I think it'll be a blue hue, and then I'm going to position the weapons and the skulls and the bones, and there's some other just gross stuff that has been accumulated by this gelatinous monstrosity. I'm going to just place it more strategically around, and hopefully, again, there'll be less pigment, and then you'll be able to see, scary, terrible things in there, like a sword or a skull or whatever it is, some sort of weapon, and and it'd be really cool, and I would put it on a base, and that would be my mini, and I think honestly it would be the coolest gelatinous cube mini out there. But again, I just have to refine my process on that one. But again, that is the project that is coming next. I'm really happy with this. And again, I was like days away of just saying, nope, I'm not going to sell that because I'm not happy with the finished product. I'm still able to get a very nice, smooth, because the sanding along the side was much easier, and much easier to do that without damaging the trees. And so you still get sort of this, you can see the underground nature of it, and you really can. And again, on camera with the, I don't know how much it really comes across, but in person, especially when there's not all these lights right on you, it has a nice sort of textured look to it. There's definitely depth to it, and it looks like there's sort of this scum growing on the top, and it's mysterious. You want to see what's under there, but you don't want to see too much. Like this actually particular part, and again, how it looks on camera is very different. This is one of the branches from the tree that I had continued out, and it's just really neat to see, pick up those big details as, giving you, reinforcing the effect that it is in fact, and almost a half an inch thick of water of resin, and again, that's going to imply a deeper swampier area, waterlogged area than some of the other terrain pieces I have. And I have this gorgeous tree that's huge. That's sort of like the resistance, and that one's going to be pretty expensive because to develop and get it the prototype right took many, many months. Won't take me that long to recreate it, but and that's what I do. I create them. I create prototypes. I put them up on Etsy, and then when people want to buy them, um, if they want to buy them, I make new ones. They're made to order, literally made to order, based off these designs. So there will always be refining of the technique, and really each one is going to look better and better and better. But I know exactly. But I have prototypes that I'm very happy with, and that are part of now my personal collection, and that I think would be the encounter in Tyranny of Dragons. This is actually probably my favorite chapter in Tyranny of Dragons. We're on chapter 4 now on the road. I think there's one or two more chapters between that and actually reaching this destination, but it's sort of a waypoint. So this is anyway. So this is going to be come up pretty soon because I've heavily extended on the road, not to enhance the travel aspects of it, but to create some varied gameplay experiences that flesh out some of the backstories of the characters, and also gives the players a better sense of the cult threat. In my game, the cult threat is much more culty, where it's not just we're trying to do this with dragons, blah blah blah, but they're actually recruiting people, propaganda, all sorts of things to not only join the cult of the dragon and join in their mission, which is somewhat secret in my campaign, and maybe it's not what the book says it is as far as what's really going on. And that there's a lot of illusion magic and enchantment magic that are drawing average folk into this cult of the dragon thing, and they think that basically dragons will lead to prosperity and end of the rule of the current nobility and and the rich people and all that, the water Davians and the upper city people in Baldur's Gate, the Lord's Alliance, of course. So I'm creating social tension, a more culty cult, and of course the threat of dragons marching against men, whether it be lowly black dragon, what Volaragamon which I know I'm saying probably wrong, but that's how I like to say it, or Tiamat herself. So anyway, this is going to be an encounter where basically the in the swamp, the cult of the dragon has sort of hired the local bullywug population to shuffle the gold where it needs to go. But the bullywugs, with the full support of the cult of the dragon, have basically indentured servitude the lizard folk of the area, and the bullywugs are abusing the lizard folk, and the lizard folk, lizard folk are not a folk to mess with, and to think that they won't use some sort of violence against you if you subjugate them, and they probably will eat you as well. So when the players encounter this situation, it's already a hotbed of intrigue, and the players may well enter it almost as members of the cult, and it'll be interesting to see what they do when they encounter this hotbed. The bullywugs, lizard folk, the cult of the dragon, they may or may not have infiltrated and become, spies, undercover members of the cult. So all that really will depend on the players and how they interact with the various factions that are going on. And I have no idea how it's going to end, but it's a powder keg. They're going to be walking into it. I think we're going to have wonderful, beautiful terrain to be evocative of the swamp and the territory. And if there's a battle there, elevation brings advantage in my game. So, although there might be a cost to it as well because of snakes and things of that nature. So anyway, I think I'm going to bring it to an end here, but I just wanted to show you as I was finishing this, and this will be, again, just not even the main piece. This is really sort of the, just sort of, there, and I guess it'll be cool when I'll have I think I'm going to do spider webs. It's almost Halloween, so maybe I'll do some spider webs in there, and in that I'll put a chest, and yeah, and maybe maybe there'll be a spider there too, right? But I think that's sort of how I'll finish it. Some spider webs, a treasure chest in there, which I made out of popsicle sticks. That probably would come with this. I think I would probably include that in this particular piece. And that, this one, and then so you could. Oh, you buy this one and that one. There's another one of these evil tree stumps guys. So that would be like a potential package of pieces, and sort of so people can mix and match or create the whole swamp that I've created, which is like, I don't even know what the number is. It's several, one massive banyan tree, some dead trees, some, a living tree, some smaller trees, but also just, terrain, wet, drier, wetter, and that the players can go through and will mean again something different in gameplay as far as what it will do to the moment to moment action on the table. But anyway, thank you for sitting through me here. Hopefully, and again, I'm not here to tell people how to do D&D. I'm here to tell you how I'm doing it as a new DM and what's working, what's not working. So far, I don't use terrain in everything. I use terrain when I think it will add to an experience, and it's basically when I think there's a place that I want that the players will stay for a while, and perhaps have a big combat, but definitely have tactical things going on. And I think the likelihood of tactical things going on in this one is pretty good. And but I think obviously I'm doing this for the Mirror of Dead Men, but this is any fantasy terrain. And I think it's awesome, and I think it looks awesome. I think the texturing of the water solved my sanding problem, and I think it looks great because really, looking at it one way, it's just swampland. But if you look at it closer, like, no, if I step in that, I'm going to fall into a thing, and an alligator is going to get me. Which again is the swamp. It's like, be careful that you might be on land here, but might not be any land over there. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to do Monday through Thursday live streaming. I do my live game with my 5 to 6 live players on Fridays, and then come back and report. I haven't been good on the reporting. The troll encounter went really great, but again, and we're past that now. It's been a stream. I think I'm going to be finishing the show The Girlfriend on Amazon Prime, or is that Hulu? Prime, I think. Anyway, have a good night. Please like, please subscribe, please share. If people don't want to be told how to play D&D or the better way to play D&D or anything like that, it's just I like to talk about how I play. I'm interested in how you play. And again, I think that props and minis and things like that are not needed for every encounter in every place. But it does add, like, here's the king. They're going to of the bullywugs, and I changed him from what he looks like in the book, but they're going to see the throne first, which had like this vine on it. I'm like, I'm not going to make it a vine. I'm going to make it like a tree that's sort of like grown in the midst of this thing. And so I made him I put a magnet on there, so he's can put him on there and whatever, do his thing. So yeah, I think minis and miniatures and all these things are absolutely not necessary to play this game. But I think they add variety, and I like to keep my players guessing of what it is that they're going to be experiencing and how they're going to be experiencing it, and keep them on their toes. And I think this is one of the tools in the tool chest. Some of it is just up here in theater of the mind. So have a good night. God bless you, and may all your rolls be natural.